54.2. I noticed during our break, Lance lifts weights, I lift weights, and our director lifts weights, and I think, and let's see if Lance agrees, that we should issue a challenge to any other three-person YouTube production entity that we could take you on, anybody, in an MMA match. You okay with that, Lance?
I have to tell you something. I am keenly aware of one thing, that physical strength is not determinant in fighting ability. Like, if you can wrestle, you can beat somebody much stronger than you. If you could box, you can beat somebody much stronger than you. But we could beat someone in a weightlifting challenge.
Okay, so you don't, well, all right, weightlifting then. All right,
I'm sure we could beat all the pundits on CNN. In fact, the PBS, we could beat everyone at the public broadcasting station.
All right.
What is that? What is it? Is it PBS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could beat all of them.
All right.
The whole 100 of them.
All right. So, pundits.
And I think we could beat them up.
What about Alex Jones? He's built like a barrel.
No.
So you think he knows how to box?
The guy's armed anyway.
What, he's got a gun?
All of them are armed.
No guns. No guns.
No guns. Well, if there's no guns, then it's not really.
But we will. We if you want to chat, if you want to tussle with us, we'll figure out the terms of the tussle. Pundits, we will take you on.
No, I'm saying we can beat NPR.
Yeah.
I'm saying we can beat NPR.
Well, what about Anderson Cooper? Have you seen he's got guns?
He does?
Yeah, he lifts weights.
How about Kuma?
You know, Anderson Cooper might fight dirty, if you know what I mean.
Hey, I know how to fight dirty.
All right.
I've been taught by certain members of my family. You
right.
Whatever, by any means necessary.
Kuma looks buff though.
All right. Back to the football. So, or now let's go on to LeBron James, who tonight in Game 7 versus the Celtics, LeBron nearly single-handedly won Game 7 to take them to the finals. And this is the 8th consecutive year that LeBron-led team has made the finals. And I think this year he's done it with the lousiest supporting cast ever.
Wow.
So, it makes the case, people are arguing about whether he's the GOAT, greatest of all time. Which leads me to ask you, Lance, where are you? Are you the LeBron of painting realistic portraits?
All right, here's the situation, because it's a broader question. I am not the best artist around, but nobody has more skill than me. So
how do you
there's a difference between skill and being a great artist. And I'm not ashamed to say this. It's not a boast. To me, the greatest painter alive today is Odd Nerdrum, the Norwegian artist.
He paints kind of misty people lost in like funky landscapes.
Yeah, that's him, and he's the greatest living artist in my opinion. And also, there's a fellow named Cicero del Villa who carves in marble. He's a greater artist than me, but.
Are you number 3? Does that?
No. It depends on your taste. It's like who's better, the Rolling Stones or the Beatles. But in terms of artistic development, I don't think I've done enough development as an artist. People aren't. But as far as skill goes, nobody's better than me. So in other words, some artists are like the Beatles, and some artists are studio musicians that you would hire to go into the studio and play things to back up Sinatra. I'm more the studio musician type. I've got skills, but I haven't necessarily accomplished great artistic achievements.
Because you don't have 10 grand or 20 or 50 grand to pay for a massive 6-figure, 10-foot high by 20-foot wide canvas with all the modeling needed and all that.
Yeah, and also I work a day job, and
you know, you guys out there, you should buy some of Lance's art. It's a great bargain, and if you support Lance and you buy his stuff, he can paint these great works that he has. We're in our 50s, and not even our mid-50s. We are and time is running out. So buy Lance's shit.
Thank you.
And let Lance create the masterpieces that he has trained his whole life to execute.
Thank you, Rick.
Welcome.
This is an unexpected, we did not rehearse this, an unrehearsed plug for the Richland cause.
Well,
Thank
when you look around here, it's bullshit that you don't get to do what you want to do artistically.
No, I don't. You know, as I said before, the irony of the whole thing is that I've sacrificed having a family and a home to do my art, but I still can't afford to do my art. So it's really it can be depressing if you think about it. The key is never think about your situation.
Also,
if you're me.
you know, if you're so inclined, you know, you could help Lance have a home and a family. Lance is very well preserved for a man his age.
Well preserved. That's probably the nicest thing anybody's ever said about me.
Yeah.
And it's my best quality.
And,
I'm well preserved.
Yeah. And despite his despicable political stances, he's actually a nice guy, and not as cruel as the politicians that he supports, and would be a pretty good partner on a date or in a relationship. I know, LA is hell if you're not already attached, if you don't already have a partner. And make it less hellacious for this guy.
I don't think I can work now, Rick. I'm sorry. It's just kind of depressing, you know.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's move back to arguing then.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
Okay. So
what do you say?
What were the other
communist?
topics we were going to do? Oh, the missing kids. This is a thing that is all over liberal Twitter.
Oh, okay. Missing kids.
The deal is that
ought to cheer me up.
Yeah, the Trump administration has a new policy, or a policy that is somewhat different from the Obama administration, which is if you get caught trying to enter the U.S., whether you're an asylum seeker or somebody who's just trying to sneak into the U.S. with your kids, once apprehended, you will be separated from your kids as you move through the justice process. And either, you know, in many cases, you know, being deported, or, you know, or I guess eventually if they find that you have a legit asylum case, you know, that they decide to grant you asylum, I guess you'll be reunited with your kids if they can find them. But apparently, out of about 7,600 kids who've been separated from their parents under Trump, they've lost track of 1,475 of them.
That's careless.
It's
to lose one kid is a tragedy. To lose 1,400 is careless.
Yeah, the Trump administration has said that these kids have been sent to you know, close relatives or foster families or someplace where they will be taken care of, but they've lost track of many of them.
Well, I'll tell you, I was arguing with liberals on Facebook this week, and I'll tell you, it was fascinating. Somebody had posted Trump saying that we can't put thousands and thousands of judges. We can't hire thousands of judges. And give everyone a fair trial. This is crazy. And so people were putting that on Facebook, the liberals, to say that Trump doesn't believe in people getting a fair trial. And I looked into it because I'd actually heard this speech, and it turns out what he was saying was there are hundreds of thousands of people on the border pouring in, and the Democrats have made it so that every single one of those people coming over the border, instead of just being turned back to Mexico, is now being given a lawyer and a trial. And so it's flooding the United States judicial system because there are hundreds of thousands of them, and we're not allowed to just say, no, go back over the border. We can't have you here. Instead, we have to bring them in, and there has to be a full trial with 2 attorneys and a court date and a court hearing and a judge, and Trump is just saying this is crazy. So all that to say, then I pointed that out. I said, look, he's not saying nobody should have a trial. He's just saying on the border. And so the liberals wrote back, because they're very feisty, they're very angry, they're willing to argue all night. And they said, recently, a woman was killed by the Border Patrol.
Yeah, a Nicaraguan woman.
Okay, and I said, well, what does that have to do with Trump not wanting to put thousands of judges on the border? They said, well, it's Trump's policies that caused her death. So he is ultimately responsible for her death. And I am a murderer too. Because I think it's because I refuse to support getting rid of his policies on immigration.
All right, so I want to throw some numbers out. I don't know many numbers, but I looked up some. The U.S. has a tradition of letting in a certain number of refugees every year. A total of roughly 2 million in the 38 years since 1980. Or, roughly 50,000 a year on average. And that ranks us 28th out of 43 countries in terms of people admitted per capita per year.
What do you mean by per capita?
As a percentage of the population.
I see. So what about overall numbers?
Well, 2 million. 50,000, roughly,
Okay, I'll answer my own question. Our overall numbers is the U.S. accepts more immigrants than any other country.
Yeah, but 28th out of 43 in terms of percentage of population among 43 countries who admit refugees.
Okay, but we accept the most.
Could be.
Our overall number is the highest.
Well,
we just, according to your figure, if it's true, we accept the least in terms of our population.
Not the least, but we're in the bottom.
All right, but we still accept the most. So I would say we're doing okay.
Okay. So
if we really had something to be ashamed of, then we would be accepting the least overall and the least in terms of our population.
I'm not saying that we have anything to be ashamed of.
Well, good.
But what I am saying is that it is a tradition, a long-standing tradition, a tradition that probably extends for almost the entire history of our country, to grant asylum to some people every year because they're escaping horrible conditions in the countries they're fleeing from. And if you look at the statistics of people granted asylum, almost nobody comes from South or Central America. The lion's share of the refugees granted asylum come from, you've got a lot coming from East Asia, you've got some coming from the Middle East. Anyway, it's a thing we do, and it doesn't strike me as unreasonable to continue to do this.
Well, the problem is, Rick, that almost everybody that tries to get into the country, I don't know the exact number, but it's always a safe argument to just say you're a refugee. That argument, that justification has been abused. Therefore, we're going to have a new policy on that. because everybody now the Democrats are giving every single person that comes over the border a lawyer, and they're bringing in their choice liberal judges that want as many new immigrants as possible, so they'll vote Democrat. And so they're now instructed when they come over to the border by their lawyers, hey, say you're a refugee. So I'm sorry, but that tradition, that privilege has been abused and must now be reevaluated.
Okay, fine. I think we can move on to the next topic, because I've said my piece, you've said your piece. What's next?
It just came out on the wire here, breaking news. Chelsea Manning attempted to commit suicide. There's a picture of her on a ledge. She's fine now. Any comments on that?
Well, I think this supports your point that people who are trans remain sad even after they switch their outward gender. I'm not saying that, and it supports my point that, yeah, that people who aren't at home with the gender of their birth have a tendency to be sadder than like the Hemsworth brothers, who get to go out with Miley Cyrus and
All right.
Okay.
Although if you do go out with Miley Cyrus, you might catch something that will make you wish you were dead.
No, you know what? I mean, she's presented herself as a dirty girl, but I don't think that. I bet she's a lovely person.
Who is the one that's saying I kissed a girl? Who's that saying?
Oh, as a matter of fact, wait.
I'm not. This is on Miley
Katy
Cyrus.
Perry.
Yeah, Katy Perry was motioned during a concert to come up to the stage when Miley Cyrus was singing by Miley Cyrus, and Katy Perry refused to go up to the stage. And they asked Katy Perry afterwards, "Why didn't you go up to the stage?" And she said, "I got the feeling Miley Cyrus might kiss me, and I didn't know what I might catch."
Well, all right.
So don't you listen. It's always great on the outside, but I wouldn't envy those Hemsworth brothers.
Oh, come on!
Just yet.
I found out the house next to ours sold, and I found out that somehow my wife found out that Miley Cyrus used to go to parties on the patio of the house next door to ours. Not a fancy house, just a little local house. But that means,
Okay.
if she was over there enough, she actually got to hear me sing my hit song, "Pee-Pee Outside."
Oh, wow.
I sing to my dog. I clap and I say, "Pee-Pee outside, pee-pee outside." Everybody likes to pee-pee outside, and this gets the dog excited to pee-pee outside because she knows she'll get a treat and maybe won't mess up our carpet, which is mostly dog piss at this point. So,
I'm kind of hurt now that I hear that.
what?
Because unlike our studio audience here, I have actually been to your house, and you took me outside, and you started singing that song, which I heard, and I thought it was for me.
I thought it was for me.
Well, it's really for everybody. It's a universal song.
All right, I didn't know it was for the
mean,
dog.
except,
I thought you wanted me to pee outside.
No. When I have to
That
pee,
kind of disillusioned me.
when I have to pee, I sing pee-pee inside for myself.
So since we're in pop culture, the Star Wars Solo came out today. Are you Star Wars fans, guys? And if you are, did you go see the movie?
I'm not as enamored of Star Wars as some people. If there's a star, I've seen just big block. I tend to fall asleep about between 70 and 90 minutes into a 2.5 hour blockbuster. I think this was probably like an old person thing. I think every movie could be a half hour shorter. Maybe because my time on Earth is getting shorter, and I just want things to move along. I understand that 3,000 people now work on every frickin' blockbuster, and they've developed all this technology, and they figure we've built all these CG things. We might as well use them and give people 3 hours of this stuff. But I just want stuff to be shorter.
Lance?
I have not seen the film because, one, I don't like Disney movies, and two, I don't like Star Wars. But I have some scuttlebutt on that. I've been talking to Star Wars fans, and they confirmed something that I noticed just watching the trailers. I was watching the trailers, the ads for Star Wars, and I looked at the guy that they hired to play a young Han Solo. And I looked at him and I thought, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. He doesn't feel masculine and kind of devil-may-care, sexy scoundrel. I don't know what the word is for a guy like that.
Rapscallion?
He doesn't seem like a real lady killer, and I'm not feeling Han Solo. And it turns out that this is what happened, and it's causing a lot of trouble in the Force, a trembling in the Force of the Star Wars community. They hired the director is a very, very radical feminist woman. And she hired an openly gay actor to play Han Solo.
No.
He's not openly gay?
Not that I've read. And we get Entertainment Weekly.
All right. Well, look, you know what? More power to him. But for whatever reason, I'm not feeling like he's the young Han Solo. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, she hired, apparently in the film, all the women are heroic and brave, and all the men are stupid fuck-ups. So that's the new Disney for you.
Well,
that's the direction we're going.
Well, Han Solo in the original Star Wars was he was not a fuck-up.
He was masculine.
Yeah, but
he was sort
he
of
got into scrapes.
He was a bad boy.
He got into scrapes and then he got out of scrapes. But he was
a bad boy. He was like and I didn't feel that when I looked at this actor. Am I wrong? Does he seem like a bad boy type?
I think he was. Isn't he the star of Baby Driver? Same guy.
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver is a pretty good heist and plus Cars movie.
Okay, does he seem masculine to you?
Yeah, he's a badass in that movie.
All right.
He's called Baby Driver because he's so young. Not because he's a roly-poly baby, but because he's like 17 or 19 or something. And
so they hired Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But,
I rest my case.
It's hard to replicate Harrison Ford.
All right, anything else?
Rosner, you were you've been on a plane a couple times lately.
Yeah.
Your airlines have been on the news lately. What was
I had to go visit I'm lucky. This generation of people is lucky, and it's going to continue into the future where even though I'm an oldish guy, I still have some parents left. I started out with double the number of parents because my first two parents got divorced, and then they each married, and I got some step parents, and I still have my original parents. And an ex-stepmom. I guess two, really, though one wasn't around long enough to really count. But I did a quick visit and took 3 flights in 3 days across the Southwest. And I don't know. I don't have anything original to say about flying. I probably got a cold from breathing everybody else's germs. I don't know what you want me to say because it's every hacky stand-up in the world talks about how miserable flying is. I miss the old days when planes were only a third full and somebody could have the privacy to address their flying panic by jacking off into an empty Pop-Tarts wrapper in an unoccupied row. Thus, kind of joining.
Did you use that hand to do it?
I'm a lefty.
Is this the hand you use?
It depends, but generally.
All right, good. I'm sorry.
You can
I
actually
stepped on
tell
your
which
line.
hand I use from the gripper marks on my appendage. It's like a bicycle grip at this point.
I've drawn Rick naked, and I have to say, I never look at that part, so I don't know. But I don't know. At some point, we'll have to investigate. All right. Anything else?
Let's break, and then over break we'll figure out what else to talk about. How much more?